James, what did you think of our pod with Tom? I think that was an
Probably the
intense
best
one.
episode yet.
You think so?
Yeah, I think so. I think so. We'll put it to the vote for the listeners. They can comment down below whether they think it or
Yeah,
not. But man, yeah, a whole lot of stuff into Amazon FBA, but not just Amazon FBA, more almost life stuff, I guess, around business entrepreneurship and things like that. Yeah, we cover a shit ton through this, and it goes over time too because Tom goes deep into his story and all sorts of different things.
yeah. I think him and I grew up in the exact same place, same elementary school, same high school. We pretty much came up together, so I already know his story. It's tough to see him struggle during that time, and I think he's in a good place right now, so I'm happy for him. A banger of an episode as always, but this time I think we touched on more on I think mental health awareness, just trying
Yeah,
to get in touch with like that. Because I think a lot of us are struggling. Let's just say that.
I think
And
everyone will
it's lonely
relate
here.
to everything you said.
Yeah. So guys, can't forget this episode is sponsored by Ahrefs.com. It
Yep.
was a great episode to be a sponsor in. I think this one, personally, Tom has also used Ahrefs as well. We should have mentioned it on the call, but guys, go download or go sign up for Ahrefs down below. And yeah, I think anything else from you?
No, man. Just make sure you like, subscribe, comment. All of that stuff helps. If you're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, whatever it is, leave the 5-star review, of course. Share it with anyone you know as well. If you're looking to get into Amazon FBA, you can find Tom in his course too. Also, stay tuned for the following weeks. We've got more epic guests coming on. And if there's anyone you want to see on, comment below too.
Yeah, please let us know with that one. What's good, everyone? It's Jacky Chou.
And this is James Lacey.
And you're listening to This Week in Digital Marketing. All right, welcome to This Week in Digital Marketing. I'm Jacky Chou. My co-host is James Lacey, and joining with me today is a special guest and friend, Tom Wang. Tom, why don't you give yourself a quick intro about your story coming up in the rural areas of Vancouver?
Well, absolutely. So yeah, thanks for having me on, guys. Super excited. Actually, this is my first podcast I've done in a long time. But a little bit about myself. I was born and raised in China in a city called Harbin. It's North China. And I had a pretty decent upbringing. My parents were both, I would say we're like middle class, right? My dad was like an engineer. My mom was like a professor. And in grade 2 or 3, when I was 10, we decided to immigrate to Canada. And I resided in part of Vancouver called Richmond. And that was a very big like culture shock, I would say. When we came here, my parents had like $6,000. We lived in like a 1-bedroom apartment. And my dad was working as like an office clerk. And my mom was basically just staying at home and looking after me. So she's an accountant and she's really good with numbers. And as she was doing some, basic addition and subtraction, she realized that if we just keep relying on this type of cash flow every month, we're not going to get anywhere in life. So my mom decided to take on 3 different jobs. She didn't speak a word of English, small little Asian lady, but she knew how to work hard. She took on a job as a babysitter, and she took a job as a babysitter. She took on another job as a cleaner, and then she also took on the job as a dishwasher, washing dishes till midnight in Richmond in Chinese restaurants. So I think at the age of 10, that was quite opposite of what I was used to in China. Again, wasn't born in a rich family by any means, but it was definitely like, hey, like you want to go to a restaurant and go eat, yeah, like we can. We can go on a couple vacations per year. But then when we came to Canada, it's like we can't go to a restaurant. I remember going to school, and then on Fridays there were kids basically ordering these like $5 or $10 lunches, special lunches that you can order. I'm not sure if you remember that, Jacky, but
Yeah, I do.
like we didn't have money to order those lunches, so I had to like basically pack my lunch. And so there's a big culture shift. And I think I think for me, the desire of like trying to make more money definitely stem from that, seeing that and witnessing that. At the early age, I was like, hey, I don't like how this is. And I think if we had money, it will solve all these money related issues. And also I would say it was very eye-opening for me to move to Canada, because in China, as you know, like education is just top the priority list. Like your parents are like, hey, my kids can starve, my kids doesn't have to sleep, but like they have to get a good education. And then when I came to Canada, I realized it was quite the opposite. Here, children have a lot more like freedom of like playing sports and attending like art classes and stuff like that. And so that was quite interesting. And I started kind of shifting away from being a very studious student to more attending extracurricular activities, you can say. And that began a little bit of a clash between my parents and I would say, just from a culture perspective. But long story short, you know, I went to high school. I got decent grades, enough for me to get into UBC, which is a pretty good school here in Canada, university. But then I flunked out after the very first semester. I went to another school. I got kicked out of there. I went to a third school. I got kicked out of there. So that was like probably quite low point in my life. And then I went to another school, finally graduated, got rejected by like 20 employers, and then finally got a job at Yellow Pages selling like advertising on the phone, like making 100 calls a day, just like, you know, selling advertising. So that was a really cool experience. Made my first 100 grand after school, something I was like super proud of at the time. And then from there, that gave me a lot of confidence. But I knew deep inside, I always want to be like an entrepreneur. So, you know, growing up, I had all these different side hustles, like including just like selling random things, to like having a stand at the night, stall in the night market, to selling SEO services for Jacky, to all these different things. And then stumbled upon Amazon in 2017, launched a beauty brand called Sadara Skincare. 3 years later, we were acquired, and and then that was, you know, quite life-changing event for me. I also have an online education company called FBA Masterclass, teaching other people how to do what I've done. And yeah, here we are. So that's kind of a quick life story of me.
Holy shit, that was a beautiful life story. I think it's the standard, not, I wouldn't say standard, but it's a common occurrence. I think I've seen after speaking with so many entrepreneurs online, with like, it's more of a immigrant story. I think with immigrants, we have a ton of, like, we have a chip on our shoulder, and let's just say especially on the Asian immigrant side, we're very capital driven. Let's just say that. But yeah, I think today I was
Well, spoke at the same time, but
all right. Are we all part Chinese here?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh shit. Okay.
I'm fully
sure.
Chinese, but I think you're part. Right?
Okay.
You're
Yeah, I'm half.
nice.
Yeah.
I hold down the half caste.
Yeah. The half caste. Yeah. Today I think I want to structure it like so. We're going to talk a bit more about like Tom's success story in the FBA space, and like his health and wellness path right now he's going through. I think that's quite interesting, and a lot of entrepreneurs forget about that, especially with let's just say the hustle culture. And Tom has definitely been a reminder in the last couple of years for me to focus on like health, because like, what else are you working for, right? Then I want to talk about FBA Masterclass, how that's doing. Would love to go over like your strategy, as well as I think we'll end on like a 1 year outlook, like a 1 year plan. What do we plan to accomplish in 1 year, and a 5 year plan. James, did you know Tom and I actually grew up very close to each other, and I think we went to the same elementary school, right, Tom? You mentioned
Ferris?
Was it Ferris? Yeah. We went to the same elementary school. Yeah. And then we went to the same high school. He was a grade older than me. He was always that more of like a joker kind of guy. And it was interesting to see him come up. And I would say, especially during his initial come up days, he was more of the guy who tried everything. And it was quite interesting to see. And some people may say I'm the guy who tries everything, but Tom was truly the guy who really spread a wide net. Let's just say that. And Tom actually got me into the SEO space by getting my first client. He's like, "Yo, dude, can you do SEO or something?" I think it was like digital marketing or something like that. And he went out and got my first realtor client, and that was a huge one for me.
That was a big client, by the way, right?
Yeah, for me at least, it was like
what was the lifetime value of that client? Like 6 figures, no?
Yeah, easily 6 figures. Yeah, did great work for him. But yeah, I think that. Without Tom, I wouldn't have gotten started in the SEO game. And since then, he has referred like several clients to me. And yeah, it's been a great relationship. But yeah, it's one of like the day ones. Let's just say that.
It was
it's cool. It's cool to like. I mean, both of us have like done pretty well, I would say. And it's cool to like kind of grow up together. Like we were never really close in high school or anything like that, but I've definitely like know who you were. But it's interesting how like our path have crossed. After all these years. So it's cool to watch what you're doing. I love the fact that you try so many different things, but at the same time, I do believe in that quote that says like, a man who tried to catch 2 rabbits catches none. I do think that, I don't know, it's like there's pros and cons, right? Like obviously if you just go all in one business, like you can probably make that business a lot bigger. But I do also respect the fact that you are just willing to try so many different things. And that's how you learn so many different things as well, right? Like we're still young. So yeah, it's cool to just like watch all the shit that you're doing.
Yeah, definitely jack of all trades, master of none type of situation I got going on.
I don't want to say that,
I think yeah, it's all right. I'll say it. But yeah, I think it's a different approach to life. You call it catching no rabbits. I say diversification. I guess we'll find out how things go, and it'll be quite interesting to see. But Tom, I want to talk about like your FBA success. So how did you come up with the skincare idea? Like, why did you decide in that niche? Which was, when you first told me, I was like, yo, this guy's crazy. He entered like one of the most competitive niches I've ever seen. And he wanted to blow up in this space. I think, weren't you on like, you took like 2 L's in that space and then one popped off. Is that correct?
Yeah, pretty much. How we got into the space was, 2017, like everybody was teaching how to find products on Amazon, right? Like you download like these free Chrome extensions that you can download, or Jungle Scout, and you can basically take a look at, type in a keyword and you can see how much revenue each person is doing on Amazon, right? And then I remember just like kind of doing some market research at home, and I was like typing all these keywords. I was like, holy shit, like these numbers look pretty good. And then, but I was never able to decide on which product I wanted to go with. And then Christina, my fiance, girlfriend at the time, and she's like, well, let me help you, right? I can bring a different perspective. I was like, yeah, sure, why not, right? So that's, I didn't really know at the time, but that's the beginning of our like partnership. And she's like, well, let me look at some skincare products. And then she typed in like vitamin C serum would run like Jungle Scout, and people on page 1 were like 50K, 25K, 100K, like 200K, 300K. I was like my mind was just like, like you can't even comprehend some of these numbers. You're like, it's almost like too good to be true. And then we're like, well, let's just launch vitamin C serum, because at the time you can still buy reviews on Amazon. It was perfectly legal. And you can basically just like, your launch strategy will be as follows. You buy like 1,000 units, you pay like a third-party service for like 200 reviews, and then you get 200 reviews and you get a ranking. And then I'm like, seems pretty easy, right? So, Mike Tyson has a saying, it's like everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face, right? So we place our order, 1,000 units, and then Amazon, like I think was supposed to launch in January, like 2 months before that, like October, Amazon basically said, hey, you're not allowed to use these like third-party services anymore. Like the whole entire plan just basically, it's like, I want to build a house and here's the blueprint. And right before you build the house, like the blueprint is like gone. It's like, you can't use that blueprint anymore. I'm like, well, what am I supposed to do now? So anyways, it's too late to like turn back because we placed the PO already. And then, my parents at the time lived in LA and they go to church, and I call my mom. I was like, Mom, it's like, do you have any church friends? She's like, yeah, why? I'm like, Mom, I need you to like get all your church friends to buy my vitamin C serum and leave me reviews. Like, I'll PayPal you the money. She's like, oh, okay. And she got me like 20 reviews that way. And then first month we did like $8,000 in sales. And I was like, kind of crazy. I was like, oh my God, like this is happening. It's like my first success of like selling stuff online. I never really found any success that way. Jacky had a dropshipping site of selling watches. And I remember like, I tried to run that and I just hated it. And I honestly, I think I still have like PTSD from like running Facebook ads. Because I was just like, oh my God, I can't figure this shit out. So I never run any Facebook ads ever since. But that's how we launched, like that's how we got into the skincare space. And then later you found out, and you know, ignorance is bliss, right? Like I didn't know skincare was like competitive. We basically launched a product, did the 8,000, and next month it did a little bit less and did a little bit less. And like I remember I started changing things, like changing the images and the price and the title, and then now everything's like gone to shit because I don't know what's working and what's not. And the first product failed. Well, didn't really fail. I would say like it didn't succeed, but like we were still launching the product. Second product was a huge failure because when we launched the product, it was like a fad. It was like a silicone makeup sponge. And then by the time we launched it, it basically, the entire market died. So that was a complete failure. But then the third product, which I was very hesitant to launch because, well, like, you know, I launched, the first one didn't do well, second one didn't do well. I had a good paying job at the time. I was like, screw this Amazon thing. I'll do something else, right? But then Christina is like quite stubborn and she's like, no, like we got to do one more time. I saw these like micro needle derma rollers online and like they sell really well and there's no competition on Amazon. And then I looked at it. I'm like, what the hell is this? Like, why do people, I thought it was another fad. Again, I had like PTSD, right? So I was like, you know what? Let me just take a look at the search volume and like whatever for the next couple months. Let's not invest money right now, but in 2 months or 3 months, if the numbers look good, then let's invest it. So I just like waited, and every single day I waited, the numbers kept on going up. So third month comes by, I'm like, hey, you know what? Let's do this thing, right? So we, you know, invested like $2,000, bought like 1,000 units, and then, you know, first day did like 10 units with no reviews. I'm like, oh shit, like that's a good sign, right? Second day,
without any advertising?
Like probably just the most basic PPC, like auto campaign. Okay. Just like, I just remember we didn't have much and then sales started coming in. So that's always a good sign. And then started doing like 10K, 20K, 30K, 40K, 50K, you know, 100K, 200K. Yeah. It just kind of like blew up from there. And then that gained the confidence, gave us the capital for me to like invest in myself, like go to, you know, seminars and conferences and buy courses and meet like-minded individuals and learning new strategies and then launching more products and building a brand. And then it just basically like went on from there.
Wow, what a story. That's great. And what was the exit like? Like, could you talk about that sale? Was it to you at the time like a life-changing amount? And
yeah.
How was it? How did it feel afterwards?
It felt good. I can confirm it felt really good. But in terms of the exit itself, it was quite interesting because 2020, beginning of late 2019 came around, and I just had this weird feeling. I'm like, man, like we've been on the bull market for so long. I feel like something's gonna happen. Like, what if we just sell this business right now? We got a 3x multiple EBITDA. Like, that's life-changing money. At the time, you know, we were doing, I think, like 1.8 million in like revenue in profit, like 5 or something like that. Like top, I can't really remember exactly, but somewhere around the ball range, around that park. And then,
crazy.
Yeah, I just had this weird feeling. And then I contacted my broker. I contacted a broker. I was like, hey, we want to sell this business. He's like, yeah, it's a good time. And then we just like listed our business, did all the prep work. And then that was like, we went to market like January, February 2020. And then when we went to market, everybody came to us like, oh, we love your brand, blah, blah, blah. Let's hop on a call. And I was like getting really stoked. And then March 2020 came around. And we all know what happened during that time. And then, and then everybody backed up. Like, people thought the world was dying and they're like, oh, screw your Amazon business. Like, and then our sales started going down. And then from like March until like June or July, it was very much like putting out fires. Like it was something we've never experienced before, obviously. And then Amazon had all these like constraints in terms of like FBA. You have to like change your listing to like FBM, like for fulfilled by merchant. And then I would say like from April or May or something like that, sales just started going up because all the malls were closed and people still wanted to buy stuff. And Amazon was like the place that they call it the COVID bump, right? And like every single person in the e-com world experiences, except for people in like the travel niche, probably. Feel bad for those guys, but yeah, and then we went back to market. I would say like August or September. And then we closed the deal like literally like a week or 2 weeks before Christmas. And then like, I don't think it was on Christmas, but I was like 2 days before and 2 days after. That's when we received the wire. And I was like hitting just like your typical story of like be on a screen, like hitting the refresh button, right? Like looking for that wire to come through. And then like, boom, it came through. But I'm in Canada. They wired in USD. I was like, no, let me convert that to Canadian, right? Because like number will inflate a little bit. But yeah, man, it was a cool experience. And then, it was stressful. Looking back, it was really stressful. I didn't know it at the time, but man, that was a stressful year. Just a lot of ups, a lot of downs. For anybody that's kind of sold a business in the past before, it's like it's a roller coaster ride. Emotional roller coaster ride.
Especially since you did like your books right before COVID hit, and then COVID hit. So I'm sure that like sinking feeling in your stomach probably didn't feel so good. Could you speak on like the deal terms or like the size of the deal? I don't know if it's public knowledge, like, and who did you sell to? If you were to do everything all over again, were there any parts of the deal you would change? Because our audience is actually business flippers, like websites.
I can't say too much about the numbers of the deal due to NDA, but I sold to Thrasio. And basically it was like a lot of upfront payment, right? My broker was like, hey, you gotta make sure that the upfront payment is like sizable. Like this is a secure value. Actually, this is the biggest tip I'll give to anybody that's looking to sell a business. When it comes to selling business, there's a saying in the M&A world, right? It's like you name the price, I name the terms, something like that. Because in any deal, there are two parts, right? The price, but as well as the structure of the deal. So let's say, Jacky, like, hey, for your business, like I'm willing to pay you $10 million, but then the structure of the deal is like this, like, I put down $500,000 and then the other $9.5 million is, something about, if we hit these goals, like earnouts basically. Well, yeah, the total size of the deal is 10 million bucks, but the secured value is only 500,000. So that's one thing I learned, because as I was getting presented offers, not by Thrasio, but like a lot of other parties, they're like, hey, we'll pay you this much. And I looked at the number. I'm like, oh my God, that's sick. But then as you go through the deal structure, it's like, okay, it could be that if A, B, C, D, E, F, G all like aligns at the end. It's like, okay, well, the chance of that happening, first of all, it's like completely out of your control, right? Second of all, it's like the chance of that happening is just very low. So I learned that lesson, and I focus a lot on the deal, like cash at close. What is that number? That's the only number that matters, because that's the only number that's secured. So we got that number as high as possible. And then from there, we had a little bit of earnout here and there, but it wasn't anything like too meaningful. But I would say for anybody that's looking to sell their business, like focus strictly on the cash at close number, because that is the only number that is like 100% secured. Everything else is just like, a mirage and a facade.
Yeah. I tend to agree there. To jump in on this, I had a similar, well, not a similar situation. I mean, as everyone knows, I did drop shipping, and one of the most successful drop shipping businesses. It did like significant revenue, but we ended up selling that because the business was tanking. At the peak, it was doing maybe $250K a month. And then at close, we were doing only 100, 120, 130K a month. So the buyers were able to ask for favorable, let's just say, earnouts. And what we ended up getting was like low six-figure upfront, and then the same amount, if not, I think more than half was an earnout. And these fuckers obviously like declared bankruptcy like a year later or like did some shit, like shady shit to just get out of the earnout. So I'm pretty sure buyers would do whatever they can to just get out of an earnout. It's pretty common practice, but yeah, I mean, I think there's many terms for this, like earnout, seller financing, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah, I think if I were to do it all over again, I would say do as much cash up front, even if the earnout's like, if the total amount is like way lower, you know what I mean? Would you say the same? Would you rather just get way more cash up front? Because there's time value of money, right?
Yeah, you can use that money to invest in things. If I dumped all that money in crypto back in time, I would have been, you know, a baller.
Yeah, exactly.
I'd love to know about the product creation process, because obviously you can go onto Alibaba, source whatever you want, and kind of try sell it. Did you just white label, for example, the vitamin C serum and sell it, or in the derma roller, did you just find something on Alibaba and just sell it as is, or did you do anything custom to it to brand it and make it different?
Yeah, that's a good question. So with the first product, first of all, it's our first product. We had no idea what any of this even meant. I just thought you can go on Alibaba and whatever. But we found our supplier in the States, because with skincare, like, you know, this is, for me, it's like, hey, if I want to put something on my skin or in my body, like, I don't want that to be made in China, right? So it was from the States, and the serum itself was really good. Like, we sampled a lot of serums, and this serum, like, my fiance, I think, still use this to this day. It's like a really good serum. So the product is definitely very, very, I would say, superior quality. Now, the second product, like, we focus a lot on branding. So we worked with this like branding agency, and our branding was like, man, like, this guy did really, really good job. His name is Simon Pickup. He still does branding, but man, like, his work is phenomenal. It's like stuff you see like Sephora. I was so stoked on it. And our derma roller was not really customized, except, again, we focus a lot on the branding itself. Like, there was no other product on the market with even close to our branding. In fact, after we launched, there were so many people that try to copy our branding. They just changed the logo, the color, but it was like, you can see it was like the same branding. So I would say we differentiated from the branding perspective. But then as our fourth, fifth, and sixth product launched, we really focused on trying to customize the product. So not only did we focus on the branding, we went back to like the vitamin C serum. One of the complaints that people had was the bottle not being very good. So we're like, hey, what if we just made this into a premium glass bottle with like the logo glossed in the glass that has like a riser. So like a very premium experience. But yeah, you definitely need to. Oh, and then with the derma roller, we also had a lot of people saying like, hey, you know, we roll on our face, but then the needle becomes kind of dull. So like, can we just buy the replacement head? So we actually went ahead and created our own customized like derma roller from the scratch. Like, we bought the mold and we bought everything. But that never really did as well as the original derma roller, but it still did okay. So yeah, in terms of the product creation side, now I think this matters more than ever on Amazon. I think 2015, 14, whatever, you can literally pick any product from Alibaba, throw it on Amazon, and like it will sell. But nowadays, customers are a lot more smarter. They're more aware, and competition is more aware as well. So, you know, one of the biggest mistakes that I see like my students make is like they just literally launch like what I call Me Too products, right? It's like, man, on page one, there's like 50 people with like 1,000 times more reviews than you, cheaper than you, and you have the same products. Them. Like, how the hell are you going to compete? It just doesn't make any sense. So I think nowadays you really need to hone in on that product creation side. And I think for me, all product creation side is solving a problem. Like, how can I make my product? There's different competitive advantages. Like, you can make your product cheaper. You can make your product better. You can make your product solve certain problems that other products have not solved. You can make your product more superior. You can make product more premium, whatever it might be. But you gotta like hit one of those check boxes. So yeah, that's kind of what I was saying.
How do you relay that in the listing though? Because obviously you see a lot of listings, the cheap listings, it's like stock images from the factory and things like that. Are you doing custom photos, custom video, all that kind of stuff to relay that point of difference over in your listings?
Yeah, exactly. So we did like we got booked a studio, did a model shoot. We have like really high end packaging from like a packaging supplier. A lot of Amazon sellers, they just like go with the packaging, whoever. Like we picked a really sick like packaging supplier, ship the packaging supplier to our derma roller, pack that up, and then ship it off to Amazon. So every single sort of like touch point that we could think of, we try to really maximize the user experience, both visually as well as the actual physical product itself. On Amazon, I would say there's not a whole lot of touch points you can do. There's the photos, videos, copywriting, reviews. That's pretty much it. But you gotta hit every single one of those.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
No stock image.
Hey Tom.
Yeah.
Hey Tom. So for example, with your products, how much like during Amazon's buyer journey, how much of it would you say is like imagery / branding? How much of it is reviews? How much of it is price? Because I guess those are the three main things, right?
Man, that's a really tough.
Optimize.
That's a really, really tough question to answer. I don't like reviews. Is man, if you have a way to get 10,000 reviews right off the bat, you can launch. You'll be a billionaire. You'll be like richer than Jeff Bezos. But I think
Jacky's like, yep, I'm in.
I don't know about that one.
Yeah, I'm in. Let's figure out a way to get 10,000 reviews. But seriously though, if you can get 10,000 reviews, even screw 10, if you can get 500 reviews right off the bat, like even 100, maybe 500, like you can print money on Amazon. So I definitely think review, so like social proof, it's still the most important part. But just because you have a lot of reviews at the beginning, if you have a shitty product, when people take your product, it doesn't solve their problem, they're going to leave negative reviews. So you got to have a really, really good product that solves a problem, that's differentiated. You got to have really, really good reviews, which is in direct correlation with the quality of product. And then from there, honestly, there are some listings on Amazon that has like 3 photos, like a supplement bottle with like the main image, like the front, the back, the ingredient, and the third image being like something random. Like they kill it. So that's the thing with Amazon is the buyer intent when they go on Amazon. Like, have you guys went on Amazon just to browse? Like I haven't. Every single time I went on Amazon,
Not really.
I left with something.
Yeah.
Like I bought something. My user intent is so freaking high that I always left the store with something. And so it doesn't matter like what the images are or whatever. I'm just looking for like who has really good reviews, who's priced well, and that's pretty much it. I think.
I think that's actually.
But that also makes Amazon harder, right?
Yeah, I think this leads really well because there's always the conundrum of, for example, a lot of our listeners are maybe affiliate niche site builders. They have traffic come to their site. They're selling products, for example, or maybe they look to make their own. But there's always the conundrum of, should I sell my product on Shopify for margins or on Amazon? You mentioned there, if you can get 500 reviews up front, you're going to make a lot of money. Is that where you see the advantage of going Amazon FBA if you're launching your own product, if you already have traffic, versus doing your own Shopify store?
I think Shopify is just so freaking there. This is what I believe in. Any successful D2C brands can have a successful Amazon business. Like, let's say they first start D2C and then they go on Amazon. I think like 99.9% will do well on Amazon. But like the opposite is true. Like if you are successful on Amazon, majority of them, if they want to go D2C, they will not succeed. There's just way too many. There's way too many parts to a D2C business that Amazon sellers don't have to deal with. So I think that Amazon is like, for example, like SMS, email marketing, pixel, retargeting, Facebook ads, Google ads. Like Amazon sellers don't have to do any of these. But if you're an Amazon seller and you do these things, like you'll crush, right? So a lot of Amazon sellers that I still talk to these days, you know, like they still do things like, oh, let me find 50 people. Let me send them instructions on how to like add my product to cart, add my product to wish list, you know, click on someone's listing, check out their reviews, add them to cart, but like remove them from cart and then like buy my product at full price and then let me like reimburse them. So it's like gaming this algorithm on Amazon. You know what I mean? And like on Facebook, like you can't really do shit like that. Well, I guess you kind of could, but probably not. Like it's so much more effective on Amazon to do stuff like that than like it is on probably D2C.
Yeah. So let's say, for example, let's say the vitamin C serum example. So let's say because our audience, probably a lot of them probably do rank for best vitamin C serum. Let's say they rank number one. They send thousands of dollars of worth of traffic to some affiliate partner on Amazon. Would you recommend them to launch their own vitamin C serum if they rank already? So they command the traffic already. And would you, in their position, would you launch on Amazon or would you launch on Shopify? Or would you just keep it simple on Amazon?
Honestly, man, like I'm an Amazon guy. I think there's so many advantages to like selling on Amazon. I know a bunch of D2C guys, right? And they're all like, man, like if I can, like my margin's like 10%, my net margin, like EBITDA is 10%. Dude, on Amazon, like I've seen businesses with like 40% profit margins. Like it's absolutely insane. 40, 50%, like 50 is
that's
definitely
after Amazon fees and all
dude,
that kind
after
of
everything,
stuff. That's crazy.
After every, like it's nuts. It's absolutely nuts. So I think Amazon sellers, like we are very blessed in a sense that like this is definitely one of the best cash flowing businesses you can have. Obviously at the beginning when you're scaling up, buying more inventory and stuff like that, it's a little bit cash crunch. But I do remember the days of just like receiving so much cash from Amazon bi-weekly. It's like, whoa, like what do I do with this kind of thing? So no, it's awesome, right? So I again, my answer is very biased. If you ask, Tony, for example, from Lacey, who probably say like, D2C, but I would say like launch your, like, with affiliate marketing, right? You're making someone else rich. Of course you're making money as well, but like at the end of the day, you're a salesperson to someone else. And can you sell an affiliate business? Like, if so, what type of multiple are you looking at?
At the moment, it's probably higher than FBA multiples. It's like, if a good one, if you get up to over $1 million EBITDA, it's like 4 or 5x EBITDA.
Okay, well, don't launch your own vitamin C serum. Just keep building your affiliate websites then.
I mean, the thing is, if you do launch your own, the multiples go up, right? So
right, you can double dip. Right?
Yeah, exactly. So there's it's an interesting argument, I guess. Yeah, for the listeners out there, just go launch an FBA brand if you guys rank on Google for FBA.
Dude, honestly, if some of your listeners are own some big keywords and I'm happy to chat with them. My email is hello@tomwang.io. But the keyword obviously it's got to be like something substantial, right? Like if there's a search volume like 500 people per month, like it's probably not worth much. But like if you're ranking number one for a big keyword, I remember, Jacky, one of the things that you helped us with was ranking derma roller on number one on Google. Like if you type in derma roller on Google, we were number one. Our Amazon listing was number one. So that brought in a lot of traffic, and Amazon loves, like what makes Amazon horny is external traffic. If you can just send Amazon like external traffic, like Facebook, like good quality traffic, it's like crack cocaine to them, right? They'll like rank your listing high. So for us, like that worked really, really well. That was like one of our moats, I would say. It's like we were just ranking well on Google, we're ranking well on Amazon, and
I think to the listeners, what I did exactly for Tom is because it's an Amazon listing, right? I'm going to speak a bit more niche here, Tom, but because it's an Amazon listing, you can treat it like a parasite SEO play. So pretty much all you have to do is blast it with backlinks and it'll rank. Tom, didn't you rank in like a week or something like that? Like a week or two. And then it was remember. Like a 300K a month search. It was crazy.
I don't remember when, but like I would say also the fact that we're a top seller helps too, right?
Yeah, it does.
So like we had the most amount of reviews. We were the top seller. Like I'm curious to know, like, can you get the same results with like someone who just like launched? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, since then I've tested you've thrown so many clients at me. So I've been able to test probably over 100 listings at this point. And the hit rate.
What did you find?
I think the main key takeaways were, if I put a filter on, for example, I only take clients who are top sellers. They're top 10 on for their respective keywords. For example, if it's derma roller, they rank top 10 on Amazon for derma roller. They are, what else? Probably on the front page of Google for derma roller, there's another Amazon listing. That's a huge plus. But if it's
like just Google's already putting another Amazon.
Exactly. So it's super easy to take over another listing. But so if these two criterias are like met, the chances of ranking, it hits like 90% or something like that. Because all you have to do is beat them in the link building game, and then you're golden. And then the last criteria typically is openness to change their product description, because a lot of the times they use duplicate content across like various SKUs. And if you're able to make that unique, then that's pretty much the secret sauce to ranking Amazon listings. I think that is something completely underutilized right now. But yeah,
Do you still have clients
I actually want to talk
doing that.
Yeah. I think a couple come through once.
By the way, James, I love how Jacky always tells me how much he's made his clients, and his clients fire him for some reason.
Dude, it's because they stay
and then he's starting another agency.
They think they don't need it.
Yeah. Dude, you're making them too much money, man.
No, the thing is, they don't. I do just tell them, I'm like, hey, you guys are ranked. There's most likely no chance your competitors will ever catch up, because they don't. Amazon sellers aren't very sophisticated. Let's just say that they're still like in their own ways.
Absolutely.
It's pretty interesting. But yeah, if there's any Amazon list,
should we take this a little bit more seriously? Like, should we because I have a pretty good network in the Amazon space. Like, should we, I don't know, get you on some podcasts and shit, and get you some more clients?
Yeah, let's do it, dude. Easy. I mean, that's an easy yes. That's always a yes answer to that. But yeah, I want to talk about my FBA journey, because mine's not like a success story, but it was pretty interesting. Let's just say that. So I had 2 FBA stores. One was in the supplements niche, so I guess relevant to you, James, and then one was in the home decor space. And so the supplement one was a standard. It was pretty easy to rank. Let's be honest. I can reveal to the audience, it was like Korean red ginseng. Tom, I don't know if I'm pretty sure I sent it to you. It was doing pretty well. It was doing like 20 to 30K a month. Top line though. Net was probably like 10K a month. It ranked forever. I even did some sketchy shit, like tried to launch CBD on Amazon, and I branded it as like hemp oil. And that would get also crazy. That was like, we had a couple like 100K months from that. But obviously you got banned, lost a ton of money there, because I'm just sat on CBD oil. I didn't know what to do. Probably just sent it out to friends for free and shit. But yeah, ranking the ginseng, that was pretty passive. That did well right up till the end, where we just like decided to do it. This is not enough. Like at the end, we were making only 5K a month. We couldn't even sell it. No one wanted to buy like a small Amazon site. So we just kind of closed it down. But the biggest L I've ever taken, besides the sketchy CBD shit where I lost like 50K, was launching the candles. Tom, do you remember me doing that? So like what happened was, we ordered like a huge shipment. It was like 5K units or something of that, of like vanilla candles. We shipped it into Amazon. It was pretty early on. I think it was 2019 or something like that. I think you haven't exited your company yet. It's 2019. It was still pretty easy to rank. All we did was we did a launch. We gave away so many units, got a ton of like free reviews. And then we launched during Christmas. So that was like a beautiful time. I remember the first day was like 500, second day 1K, third day like 3K, 5K, 10K a day. Dude, 10K a day. I was reverse engineering. I was calculating. I was like 10K a day. Bull. I made it. I'm Tom Wang now. I'm like the next Tom Wang. 10K a day on vanilla candles. And then we sold out immediately. Dude, yeah. I still have the history. And then we sold out like almost immediately. And I told my business partner, Albert, and I was like, yo, dude, we got to order way more units. Because like we sold out. I didn't know what to do after we sold out. We just left it for dead. So we ordered we put in like a 40K US dollar order. And then it hit the warehouse. I was like so ready to start selling, but you know, it was during COVID. So like they restricted any like shipments in, because we had no last 30 day sales, right? Do you remember that time? So I was sat on 40K inventory. By the time we finally got it in, it was like 6 months later. Our sales like already tanked. It was not selling at all. We're stuck with, imagine this, like I think it was 20K units of candles in the US. I didn't even know what to do with it. I tried to relaunch several times. my business partner Albert's like, what the fuck, man, dude, what are we gonna do with all these candles? And then we started giving them away for reviews, tried to relaunch a couple times. It did okay. In the end, we decided to liquidate like last couple months for like just 25% of the inventory cost. It was pretty savage.
Yeah.
We paid
such a
like
happy,
warehousing fees.
such a great story with a sad ending. Such a great start. 10K a day.
Yeah, such a great start, right? But like,
what a tease.
I think the main issue with my product was it was like a, what did you say? It's like a pick me,
a Me Too
type of
product.
thing. It was like a Me Too product.
Yeah.
I don't know about can't say Me Too, man. We're gonna get canceled. But yeah, that was a pretty. It was like a shitty product. Let's be honest.
Me 3.
And Me 3, dude. It was a shitty product. No differentiator. We were able to sell for very low because by the time we hit the warehouse, dude, like inflation started to hit. So like we held it in warehouse for so long that like the raw goods the pricing were like double already. So we were able to give it out like for cheap. But yeah, it was one of the fattest.
Did you launch during Christmas? Is that why you got the 10K per month so quickly?
Yes.
That's 10K per day.
Yes. Dude, we were like number one
just...
for candles. That was wild.
Wow. That's crazy. Dude, honestly,
Dude, right?
I can tell you guys one thing right now. Like running out of stock on Amazon is like death sentence. And it sucks because it's so hard. Like, you know, with the physical product business, like one of the hardest things to do is like inventory forecasting because like, oh, this ship got like stuck. That ship ran out of gas. This like custom officer like decided to, you know, do some stupid shit and like not releasing your there's so many variables for your product to literally leave the door from China to arriving to Amazon's where, oh, this week Amazon's warehouse got too many shipments, so we're like delaying shipments by 2 weeks. So every single day that you're out of stock, Amazon has something called like a sales history. So your sales history, which is like the most important part of your ranking, if your sales history starts to lack, then your ranking starts to drop. If you have a very strong sales history, then your ranking starts to increase. And when you're running out of stock, your sales history is basically shit, right? And that's okay for like, I don't know, like a product that has a strong sales history, but especially for your new product that has a weak sales history, that's like absolute death sentence. And I've seen this, man, so many times over and over again where people will actually basically throw a product up and then like they have really, really good, you know, sales. And then they run out of stock for a few months and they never came back alive. At that point, I would say it's better to even for you to like launch a brand new ASIN, like just a brand new listing. Yeah. Because with a brand new ASIN, you get like a brand new sales history, right? And you get to take advantage of like the honeymoon phase again, which is like supposedly 30 to 60 days. No one really knows. But at the beginning, Amazon gives you like, you know, like benefit of the doubt. They're like, oh, this is the new, like, let's see where they can go, right? And then in your case, you went up to 10K per day, which is great. But looking back, I think you should have done like the reverse. You should have like created a new ASIN.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, a lot of hindsight here for me. Probably, yeah, I'm pretty scarred from that. You should have seen me when I was doing 10K. I'm pretty sure I texted you, but you were probably too busy with your sale. I was like jumping up and down. I thought I was
like, oh yeah, that's cute.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that was a good time. All right, yeah. Yo, I want to talk about your what is it? The education program that you have, like FBA Masterclass. Like, how's that going?
You want to make passive income? You want to make 10K a day like Jacky without doing any work? Then join FBA Masterclass. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, sorry, what was your question?
Yo, how's that going? How's the course sales? How are things like?
It's good. It's good, man. It's like, you know, 8-figure company. I think we're probably like one of the biggest like Amazon education companies out there in the space. I'm proud to say that it's taught by someone who's been through the fire and the rings and, you know, been through the game. So you're definitely learning from someone who's been there and done that. Now, not saying I'm the best Amazon FBA seller in existence. I'm far from it. I'm still learning every single day, but at least I can share what has worked for me. But yeah, the course business is very, very interesting. Actually, I'm going to ask you guys a question and see what. Last year we got our financials, right? And then we also have financials for Sadara. Which one do you think had higher margins? Like EBITDA?
Courses. Like you mean courses versus the physical product?
Yeah, courses versus like a physical product business.
I would assume courses. But since you're asking, it's probably physical product.
It is. Yeah, I would assume as well. But last year I was like, holy shit, our margins were like quite similar. Like courses was a few points down. But so there's definitely a lot of pros with regards to course, because obviously there's no physical good. So there's no, customs or this shit got burned down or got, invaded by the pirates and your goods are gone. None of that stuff, right? No duties or anything like that, which is great. So you're selling essentially like a login, right? It's almost like as close to SaaS as it gets, but it's not really SaaS. So the cost of goods sold is basically zero. But on the other side, the line items is like, we have a team of 50 people now, from like customer service
50?
to sales team. Yeah, like customer service, VIP coaches, students fulfillment, head of products, sales team, marketing team, just, the big team, right? So with the Amazon business, like we were doing, I think at the peak, like, I don't know, $7 million or something like that. I forget. It was
Holy
2 years
shit.
ago. But like we had like, I don't know, like 2 full-time employees, me, Christina, and like 1 VA. You definitely cannot do that with like, and just printing cash. Like this thing was printing cash, right? You definitely can't do that with a course business unless like we're just doing it all wrong. Maybe we are. And with the ad costs going up, like YouTube ads is like our biggest cost, right? Like we spend about 500 grand a month on YouTube ads, and
500 grand
every
a month?
single year. 500 grand a month, yeah, on YouTube ads. So
our listeners are
That's
struggling
insane.
to hit 500 grand a year. I don't know how you do that. What the fuck?
you just spend a lot of money, and you just gotta you find a really nice credit card and you just like max it out, right? It's not very hard. But
Not
I'm just
financial
kidding. I know what
advice.
you mean. Yeah. All that credit card points, baby.
Holy cow. I didn't even know you guys were spending that much on YouTube. How's your account?
Yeah,
management,
actually,
dude?
it's funny. Your buddy Michael, what's his name? Michael, the tall guy from RHS.
Bong? Yeah.
Wang, yeah, he works at Google, right?
Yeah.
And then he like messaged me. He's like, "Hey, like I saw your account. Like it's one of the top spending accounts or whatever that I'm managing." But that was kind of cool. Yeah, so we're spending a lot of money, but this year what we really want to do is like we've noticed inflation in ad costs as well, right? Like every year it probably goes up like 20 to 25%. So that really impacts our bottom line. Like our ad costs on our P&L is the biggest cost in terms of like both the monetary amount as well as the percentage of revenue. So we really need to figure out a way to like decrease that. And the best way we figure it out is twofold. Number one is we are really trying to establish our organic channels. So that's like your social media, your Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, all that type of stuff. But the downside of that is you need to create really good content. And because I was kind of like sick last year, I didn't really want to create any content or whatever. So this year we're hiring a lot of new faces to create the content. Number two is we're adding in one more product, which is our like low ticket product. Our low ticket product, right now we have 3 products. We have the flagship product, the VIP product, and the diamond product. The flagship is $5,000, go all the way up to 25 grand. But the $5,000 basically with that product, it kind of like almost breaks even. Like honestly, like after ad costs, paying the salespeople, like it almost breaks even. So that's like our like lead magnet in a way. So we just got to add one more product before the flagship for like $200, $300. So all the traffic will go in there, and then we will basically have our sales team or our setter team to go in there and then upsell them into flagship. And then from there, like our ad costs our margins will be like much better. Everything will be better. So yeah, like those are our like top 2 focuses this year. It's just, if we can do those 2 things, like our margins will probably double.
That's crazy. You might be the biggest course seller or like education like program seller I know, or in anyone, like that is, you have to be one of the biggest ones, right? In this space, at least.
Yeah, I think so.
I don't know anyone who's bigger
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, we just kind of like focus on our own lane.
God.
And kind of
yeah, because we had
do our thing, and
yeah. That's wild. I'm pretty sure we had another guest on.
Jacky is lost for work right now.
Gail from like Authority Hacker. So was that? Yeah, I think we had another guest. His name was Gail Brennan.
No, I said you're like lost for work.
They do pretty good. They do pretty good numbers, but yeah, I don't think it's anything similar. Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right.
No, we've
Yeah.
been blessed, man. Like we have a really good team. I care a lot about the product. I care a lot about my students. You know, we're bringing in other faces to FBA Masterclass now. So it's not only going to be me teaching. I'm about to close a deal with another very prominent Amazon FBA seller. Trying to really like, one of my goals is to build FBA Masterclass into more of a brand rather than like Tom's course. Right now, my face, my identity is very attached to the course. But again, the downside of a course business is like, you know, a lot of people know you. A lot of like people recognize you. Like when I used to live in downtown, like literally, I shit you not, like 1 out of 3 Uber drivers, like they deliver food to me. They'll be like, "Oh, you're that Amazon guy," or like, "Oh, you're that internet guy." It's like cool for the first little bit, but like at the end of the day, you know, everybody wants to live like a private life. Everybody obviously values that. Nobody wants, you know, people to know like where they live and like who they are 24/7, like a lot of attention. So for me, I really realized like I really, really value like privacy. I think everybody does. Like I'm sure no one, you know what I mean? So so the downside of that is very much like my face is kind of being plastered everywhere and people recognize who I am and stuff like that. Also, obviously, like with the student success, you guys know how hard it is to start an Amazon business. Like Jacky and Albert, like you guys are probably super smart when it comes to digital marketing and whatever. Like even, you know, you guys had a pretty bad luck with Amazon. I think that's honestly like more bad luck with anything else. But you can imagine how some of these folks have like never had business experience before. They like jump into Amazon. They don't have any marketing background or anything like that. Like it's not easy, right? It's like I failed my first couple products and I tell people openly, if it wasn't for Christina, like I wouldn't have launched my third product. So I encourage all my students to like get a partner, just like YC, right? They like whoever go through YC needs to have a partner. They need to have big enough budget. And yeah, to be honest, man, to like teaching Amazon to like beginners, like 80% is like mindset. Cause like you'd be surprised at how many people buy the course and like just never end up doing anything with it.
Dude, you know how we just met? I just met up with our mutual friend who also used to be an Amazon course seller before, right? Ben.
Yeah.
And he was telling me that something along the lines of like they would buy a 5K course, for example, and more than half wouldn't take action afterwards. Is that true? Surely it's
Half is
not that
pretty good,
high,
man.
right?
I would say like 90% doesn't take any action. If you get half,
So they buy the
if you can
course
get half
and they don't
people-
even launch a product.
correct. Yeah.
Dude.
But it doesn't, I mean, but that's like, honestly, it doesn't surprise me because like I bought courses in the past. Like I didn't do anything with it. You know, I bought a bunch of like random, like I've invested so much into like over $100,000, like for sure. Right. Like 6 figures. I don't know, like a lot of stuff. I bought this, like, give you an example. Last year, I joined a finance mastermind. I paid $50,000, which is like the highest I've ever paid for a mastermind before. 1 year. I think I showed up to like 3 calls. I don't know, like, yeah.
All right.
Invested in a couple deals, but like they're kind of shitty deals. So I didn't.
Yeah.
I was like,
oh yeah, you told me
this.
about
Like,
that.
I didn't.
That was crazy. Yeah, I think this goes well into like I think we've had this discussion before. You know, it's a mentality type of thing, right? For example, a lot of our friends that we knew growing up, they're always looking for new things to do. For example, new hustles, et cetera, et cetera. And then you can try to lay it out as clearly to them as possible, like what's out there, right? For example, you with FBA, me with like small affiliate sites that maybe fucking, I feel like I got a little, you just little broed me. But, you know, with affiliate sites, maybe with like agency side, you can tell them there's various things that people can do with their side hustles. You tell them, they say, okay, yeah, that sounds good. And maybe you follow up a couple of weeks later and nothing has been done. Have you seen something similar? Yeah. Like you give people so many ideas
all the time,
and then they just end up never taking action.
Yeah, all the time. I give my course out for free, you know, like to my friends and whatever, right? Like I don't need money from my friends. So I'm like, hey, here's the course. Like they don't do shit with it. Look, man, at the end of the day, I think comfort zone is like the most dangerous place anybody can be in. I think I truly believe that in order for you to have a breakthrough, you first need to be broken down. So they had to like lose their job or like there had to be a traumatic event that happened to them that really shakes them up so that they can change. Like pain causes change. you have to have some sort of a painful event to happen to you in order for you to like wake the fuck up and like get yourself out of the comfort zone. So like my feel, I can tell you guys this right now, being like an immigrant, was like my relationship with my father has not been good for many different years, right? He's like a very high achiever. He, you know, he's like, oh, you know, you came to Canada, I like sacrificed all this stuff for you, like you failing out of school. And to be honest with you, I don't blame him. Like if I was him and someone else me, I'll probably say the same shit. But like, what the fuck are you doing with your life? You know what I mean? I wasn't doing shit with my life. I was like partying and gambling and getting cut out of school. I was a fucking loser, right? But then the fact that like none of my friends like really believed in me, my parents didn't really believe in me for rightful reasons, that caused me so much pain that I was like, I have to prove these guys wrong. Like I have to prove to them that I am worthy. I have to prove them that I am someone. And that pain caused me to try so many different things, caused me to just bulldoze my way through these different businesses that I failed and picking myself up because the pain that I had from them was greater than the pain of failure. So I just had to keep going. Failure was not painful enough anymore. There was a new level of this pain. So I use that as my fuel. Now, if someone, you know, is brought up and it's all like, you know, roses and rainbows, can they be successful? Of course you can, right? But they probably don't need that level of pain. Like, for example, Elon Musk, right? Obviously, one of the greatest entrepreneurs of all time. Like, he openly said, like, his relationship with his father or something like his childhood is fucked up. It's completely fucked up, right?
Yeah.
So it probably caused him a lot of pain as well. But if you look around, a lot of these entrepreneurs, if you dig hard into their history and their past, there was always like, there's a lot of pain. There's a lot of darkness. And we use that. Now, a lot of people, we're blessed that we were able to use this energy for something good. A lot of people cannot do that, right? People like get hooked on drugs or alcoholism or whatever it might be. So I do think pain is a really good motivator. But now in the point of my life, I don't want to use that shit as fuel anymore because bad gas at the end of the day is still bad gas. Like shit is still shit. You know what I mean? So yeah, I got to a point in my life where I'm like, oh my God, like I finally did it, right? I climbed this mountain and see dad, like I did this, I did that. But I realized I'm like, man, like they don't really care about that. It's not like they don't love me anymore when I was, you know, a millionaire versus 10 million or whatever it might be. So I just think that the fuel that you run on is extremely important. And now I want to run on more of a positive fuel. And just to give you guys one more thing, it's like a lot of, actually, can you hold on for 1 second? My memory card just, give me 1 sec. Sorry.
That's hilarious. Yo, who does that? That was crazy.
Mid-podcast.
He's like, yeah, mid-podcast, mid-monologue, dude. That's the $500K a month spend for you, man. That's that energy. I like it.
That's that energy.
But like, what does he have a memory card? What does he need a memory card for? Because like,
I have no idea. Maybe he's recording this for his course. Separate camera.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, that'd be wild.
But sorry. Basically, you know, Tony Robbins has this amazing thing that says like two things. A lot of people try to hit certain goals so that they can feel certain types of emotions. For example, I want to hit 100 grand a month. I want to hit 10 mil before 30. I want to hit whatever so I can feel X, Y, and Z. So I can feel I am whatever, you know, I am accomplished. I am loved. I am fulfilled. I'm happy. I am X, Y, and Z. Everybody's different. But what's interesting is that if that is your, if that's your agenda, if that's your goal, when you get there, will you feel those emotions? Yes. Are those emotions going to be long lasting? No. I'm sure you guys can relate, James and Jacky. Like, you know,
yeah, dude.
Remember when we were like, hey, I want to hit $100 a day. Like, I want to hit $500 a day. I want to hit $1,000 a day. I want to hit $10,000 a day. That goal just kept on getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So we felt really good when we hit those goals. Maybe for like, to be honest, when I sold my business, I felt really good for like, the height was maybe like 2 days. After that, I just started to finish, right? But it's very common. So what I realized is you don't need to wait until you hit those goals in order for you to feel those emotions. You can actually feel those emotions today and use that as fuel to kind of enjoy the journey and enjoy the process. And the goal itself is kind of like the cherry on top. So instead of waiting for an event to happen in order to feel those goals, we as human beings, what makes us amazing, what makes us special is the fact that we have the ability. That's why we're different than dogs and monkeys, is we have the ability to choose what we feel in this exact second. I can choose to feel sad. I can choose to feel whatever. So why don't you choose a positive emotion, a positive feel to run on this journey? It's a lot more sustainable. This journey is not a sprint, which I thought it was. It's a marathon. We're going to be entrepreneurs for the rest of our lives. So let's make this journey sustainable rather than, how many stories have you guys heard of like entrepreneurs crashing and burning out? I mean, I was one of them. My brain literally, I had some neurological issues starting July 2021, and I literally could not work for a year. And it was
James,
awful.
You should have seen Tom.
Terrible.
Tom was like,
I had like crazy anxiety. I had like depression. I was like, how can, because I'm 31. I'm like pretty fit. I'm not, whatever. Like, how can this such a happy story have such a tragic ending? I'm like, I remember being in bed and not being able to go to a restaurant, not being able to drive, not being able to do X, Y, and Z. So my expectations of reality was up here. Now that I'm like, I have money, I can do whatever. And then my reality was down here. So the gap was too big. And that's when people get depressed and stuff. Right. So that's number one. And number two, I would say, is there's definitely like pros and cons of being an entrepreneur. Again, there's pros and cons to everything in life. There's never one thing that only has pros. Water is great. It's a necessity, but if you drink too much water, you can drown, right? So I would say pros of entrepreneur is very clear, but the con of entrepreneur is the fact that we are always trying to level up. There's always a goal that we're trying to hit. Now, if we're trying to hit a goal and if we're trying to level up, what do we focus on? Do we focus on the things we have, or do we focus on the things that we don't have? It's usually the latter.
Don't have. Yeah.
The things we don't have. Now, if you keep focusing your attention on the things you don't have, what do you think that will do for your overall happiness? It's not great.
I mean, it's not great, but it's like a driving force, right? Like you mentioned, it's like the bad gas. But yeah, I think I'm personally in a position where it was like a moving goalpost. Remember, I'm pretty sure like coming up, we were both coming up, we were talking about like personal net worths we wanted to achieve. And then after, I'm sure you hit it. I hit my first goal. I call it the first goal because I changed it now. Initially it was like 5 mil. Now it's obviously 10 mil. I just want to get there. But have you seen something similar? Like after you exited, were you like, I have enough money for the rest of my life. What are you going to do now?
Yeah. So it's funny. The day that I exited, I called a buddy of mine. He sold a Amazon brand for $650 million. AJ Patel, like it's called Zesty Paws. You guys can look it up. It's a pet supplement brand, and he's got like 5 of them. So I called him. I'm like, hey, I sold my business. I kind of want to be like you. You sold your business for much more. I want to be like AJ. And then he's kind of like, you don't want to be like me. Like, go talk to my life coach. His name is Chad. I've been working with him for 4 years. I was like, well, if AJ is using this life coach, I'm going to use this life coach, right? I'm very good at like emulating. So I got a hold of Chad and I started working with Chad. And the very first thing Chad asked me was like, hey, what do you want to get out of this session? It's 6 months program. My number one was like, how do I make more money? It's like, and mind you, this is literally right after I sold my business. So I'm already thinking like, what's next, right? How do I make $100 million? What about $1 billion, right? So he's like, okay. He didn't say anything. He like doesn't judge you. He's like, hey, that's what you want. That's what you want, right? But let's discover why you want that. And through 6 months, actually, I ended up working with him for like 1.5 years. But like through our time working together, I realized that a lot of it, not all, but like some of it was to prove to other people that like I'm worthy. Like I got bullied when I was a kid. My dad actually left for work when he was young. When I was young, He was never around. He had to put his career before his family, which is very common in China. Again, nothing against the guy. Like, I love him dearly, but that's just how it was, right? And for me as a baby, when the dad is not around, you develop like daddy issues. You know what I mean? It's like, I remember this like scene where my dad was leaving. I'm like, with suitcases, I'm like, oh, like, is he coming back? And to a kid, that's not a very good question. You want them to ask themselves. You know what I mean? Like, is your dad coming back? So for me, it was a lot of, I realized, man, like, and then coming to Canada, we didn't have much. Like, I got bullied in school. I remember this kid like making fun of me because we were poor or whatever it might be. So all of those things got instilled in me, and my escape and my answer to all these pain was money. Like, how can I solve these pain? Money. How can I solve this pain? Money. How can I solve that pain? Money. So I just wanted to make as much money as possible to solve those pains, but I realized that money was not the answer. Like, I still had those pains as I sold my business. So through working with Chad, you know, I basically worked through all those pains, right? I like reconnected with my dad. We have a better relationship than ever now. Went on a walk with him one day, and I was like, yeah, like, do you love me? You know, like shit like that. It's very deep stuff, you know, because I was wondering, I'm like, tough. You were never around when I was a kid. Like, why? Like, how come? Right? So all that question, it's like a smelly fish. You keep the fish down by your chair, but if you don't deal with that fish, it's only going to get smelly and smellier. And then as you grow as a person, when you're 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, it just gets stinkier. And like, the more you suppress it, the more it wants to come up. So I felt like, hey, maybe I should deal with shit now instead of when I'm 50 and like, I don't know, like have a similar relationship with my kids or my wife or whatever it might be. So, yeah.
Yeah. Damn, that's tough. I think I definitely have something similar with my parents, similar upbringing.
We all do,
but
dude.
I think the story is slightly different. It's more like they were high achievers and I was like trying to emulate them, you know, trying to like live in their shadow.
Let me tell you a story. So sorry to cut you off, but let me tell you a story. I met with the son of a billionaire. His dad he lives in West Van here. His dad is like retired a long time ago, and his family is a billionaire. And I went out for lunch one time with him, and basically we're chatting about how he's starting these different companies, right? And I'm looking at him, and I'm like, man, this. By the way, can you guys hear the dishes or no?
No, you're fine.
No, okay, cool. So basically, he was saying, he's like, man, I'm in such a lose situation. I was like, what do you mean by that? He's like, well, if I start a business, if I fail, that's embarrassing, because how do you fail? You have all the resources from your dad. Now, if you can start a business and succeed, it also doesn't look that good. Of course you're going to succeed. You have all the resources from your dad. So it's like a lose-lose situation. So I was like, man, like, that's only because you give a shit about what other people think. Like, just stop caring about what other people think, and you don't have to deal with that shit anymore, you know? But it was interesting to kind of hear from his perspective. And Jacky, maybe like, I know you don't, you know, like yours is all self-made, but like, it is quite interesting to hear from his perspective as well.
Yeah. I think in my perspective, it was more like they were also entrepreneurs. They did very well for themselves. They retired when they were like early 30s, moved to Canada, and always told me that they're like, yo, never work for the man, you know, never trade time for money. Like, just like really hammering in my ear. And I think that was definitely a chip on my shoulder. As you know, like as soon as I graduated, I fucking beelined it out like middle buttfuck nowhere, Berlin, where I made like 400 euros a month, like barely scraped by, ate the same shit, canned bolognese every day. So gnarly. But ended up being able to make some money. And I think hopefully I've reached a point where my parents are like proud of me. So that I think that I've actually succeeded in that. We have like a pretty healthy relationship at this point. So thankful.
But that's like, man, like that story just, you know, we're the hero of our own movies, right? And then like when we go watch a movie, you know, you want to see the villain being just like a crazy motherfucker who's like super badass, and like you're like, oh my god, is this villain gonna defeat the hero, right? And of course the hero always like come on the top. But the villain in this case is all kind of our life story, right? The fact that you moved to like Berlin and lived on $400 a month and lit an A or whatever. The fact that I was like bullied and like came with nothing. Like the greater the struggle, the better the victory and the better the story as well, right? So I feel like for those that are listening, maybe you are going through a hard time. Just remember, like, this is all part of a movie. And if the opponent is not worthy, it's not really a good movie. It's kind of a shitty movie, right? It's like, you know, oh, yeah, like he started his first business and just fucking like took off. Okay, cool. Like sick story, bro.
Yeah.
Like no struggle.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Dude, you know, I think our story and like talking to other entrepreneurs, the average person on salary probably won't get this. They're probably thinking like, dude, these guys are making all this money and they're complaining about like mental health. Like, who cares? You guys have all this money. Just go cry me a river. But I think it's something a lot of us just put to the side. Like James, James, I mean, I think as you start your journey, you gotta be careful with that. Definitely have to keep your mental health in check. Oh, listen, Tom, I think we've gone completely overboard. By the way, really
that's fine. But I want to say one. I want to say one last thing. It's like if money solves all problems, then why did like 2 billionaires last year commit suicide?
Yeah, I mean, it obviously doesn't.
They fucking took their own lives, dude.
Yeah,
like that's like what's worse than that? I don't know. And they're billionaires, so what's worse than that? Like they had all the success but zero fulfillment. And Tony says that's like the ultimate failure. If you're successful and you still don't feel fulfilled, you're fucked. That's like the ultimate failure. So I think that, and again, like I definitely feel that pressure when I talk about these type of things because I have so much. You know, I'm so blessed. Like we all are blessed. And people are like, oh, you're complaining. I'm like, well, I'm not really complaining. I'm still a human being. You know, like I still experience these emotions. Just because you have money does not make you fucking like alien or something special. Like you're still a human being and we all experience different things. So I think for me now, I look at people as very just people. Like before, you know, I would objectify people actually. So I would ask them like, oh, how much money do you make? How much like revenue are you? And like I'll categorize them in buckets, right? It's like, oh, like C class, B class, A tier. Like I'm only going to talk to the A tier person based on how much money they have. Now I feel like I don't give a shit about how much money they have. I want to know if this person's like lives like a fulfilling life. Is he like truly happy? Is he living to his like life purpose? Like, and if money is part of that, great. But I know a lot of entrepreneurs that live a very, very it's a tough job, man. It's like one of the toughest jobs it's lonely, it's hard. It takes a toll on you emotionally, man. So but having said that, I wouldn't trade it any other way. So
it's fun. You look forward to waking up every day.
Yeah, I just want to get out there, like, guys, you're a race car. You're like the most pristine car there is in the world, and there's only one of you. Take it, get it maintained. Like if the check engine light comes on, if the flat tire comes on, like go get it pumped. Like if your car shit comes on a dash, you're gonna take it to a shop. But our body is the same way. Like take every body, man. Eat well, go to sleep like early, get the rest. This is a marathon. It's not a sprint. Yeah, but it's a great journey to be on.
Sick, dude. I think, that's the pod. We're gonna end it there.
All right. Wrap it up.
That was sick. All right, yeah. If you guys are listening all the way to the end, smash that like button. Go to YouTube. Go comment. Go share it. And if you guys want to see more of Tom, dude, he's a good friend of mine. Make him a regular, man. All right.
I'm down. Thanks, guys.
Do it.